All right. Welcome to the ShadowBear Story Sessions, the podcast about brutally dark, hilariously insane old folk tales. We go through each folk tale, have a rip-roaring, hilariously fun time, and then at the end, we come up with an adaptation. How would we adapt this story if we were to make a movie or TV show today? And we're going through the original versions of Grimm's fairy tales. These aren't the prettied up, nice and polished, family-friendly versions. These ones get dark. So, today's episode features a series of fragments, which usually means just little bits of stories. The brothers Grimm, they were translators, and they collected a lot of folk tales from all over the place, and sometimes they only got little bits of stories from here or there, and I assume, in the interest of maintaining the integrity, they didn't want to do anything or change anything. They just wanted to record things, what was in the oral history of the day. And so we have some of these fragments of stories, and depending on how they go and how satisfying they are, and if they leave us wanting by the end of them, there's 4 of them, we can go right along to The Fox and the Geese, which is also pretty short, but it doesn't appear to be a fragment, so it might be. We'll find out. And just gonna ride with it. If that one's unsatisfying, we're just gonna go right along to the next one, because that's how we do this. I don't read ahead because I want these to be fresh, and we just figure it out as we go along. That's how you live your life. Let's begin with fragment number 1, called Snowflower. We begin. A young princess was called Snowflower because she was white like snow and was born during the winter. It's quite a nice name. It's quite a pretty name. It's quite a good nickname. Snowflower. It's quite pretty. Could give that nickname to someone who lives in, like, Norway or Sweden or something like this. It'd be a good nickname for, like, your sweetheart, your best gal. Any, like, Nordic people, feel free to take that one. Iceland, it's all yours. One day, her mother became sick, and the princess went out to pluck herbs that might heal her. She's a good daughter, too. This is just a lovely young woman. Here, Snowflower, sweet, sweet Snowflower, taking care of Mom. As she went by a big tree, a swarm of bees flew out and covered her entire body from head to foot. Yikes. But they didn't sting or hurt her. Instead, they carried honey to her lips. And her entire body glowed through and through with beauty. Well, that's the end of that fragment. I mean, nothing really happened. We don't really have like a beginning, middle, and end. We just have a really nice young lady who wanted to help her mom and then got attacked by bees. But oh no, they're not attacking her. They're making her drink honey, and then she glows with beauty. So just a nice thing that happened. That's more like a cosmetics ad than a fragment or a folktale, really. It's more like an advertisement you'd see for like a perfume or something. Perfume ads are insane. Can we talk about perfume ads for a second? What the hell is going on in literally any perfume ad? They are bonkers. It's just wild stuff happening all over the place. Also, everyone's wet all the time in perfume ads. Why are they soaking wet all the time? If I had a perfume, it would just be called Wet Boy. Wet Boy perfume. You know what? If anything I make really blows up big ever at any time, maybe I'll go ahead and do that. Make my Wet Boy fragrance. And you know those ads are just going to be wet as hell. Just everyone just soaked and drenched. I live in Scotland, so it's pretty wet here all the time anyway. But, so Snowflower went off to get some herbs. Didn't find any herbs. Got covered in bees. and the bees made her pretty. Kind of nice. I mean, when I tell it like that, it kind of does have a little bit of an arc. I don't know how her mom ends up, if she saves her mom at all, or what's going on there. Hopefully she, doesn't forget about all that. She seems nice. She seems like a nice person. Maybe she'll bring the bees to her mom and they'll heal her. Honey's supposed to have some nice properties to it, right? Am I like making that up? Honey's healthy. I mean, it's sugar, but it also, people like speak to certain health benefits. Maruka honey, that's a thing, right? I don't know. Now I'm just rambling about honey. Yeah, nice story, nice pleasant thing that happened to a lady. We continue with the fragment, The Princess with the Louse. This one might get a little grittier than Snowflower. Snowflower was just delightful through and through, really. All right, The Princess with the Louse. We begin. Once upon a time, there was a princess who was so clean indeed, the cleanest in the entire world, that nobody ever saw the least bit of dirt or stain on her. So, that's her thing. That's her claim to fame. She's so clean, crazy clean all the time. That's that would be. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who, have phobias of germs and stuff like that actually suffer greatly having to keep themselves clean all the time. But even if this was just a reputation that she felt obligated to maintain, that sounds awful. That sounds miserable, having to. Yeah, this princess clearly has a problem. That sounds hard. She just has to be clean all the time. Sounds like a rough life. However, I mean, it's gotta be a neurological disorder, right? Or a problem or something, phobia, something. This isn't normal. This isn't just a lady hanging out. I'm so clean all the time. Unless it's a magical ability that no dirt or germ can ever stick to her. She's just naturally Teflon or silicone to any dirt or anything whatsoever. All right, we continue. However, one time a louse was found sitting on her head. Okay, well, it's if it's just sitting on top of her head, that's just gravity. It might not be attached, really. If she does have this magical germ barrier or something, she still could be technically intact. It could just be sitting on top of her and not actually doing anything to make her dirty. But let's see how they handle this in the story. However, one time a louse was found sitting on her head, and this was regarded as such a true miracle that nobody wanted to kill the louse. Oh, God. So now they're deifying this louse. Now this woman is so clean that the louse that managed to touch her is now its own god and has its own following. This seems like a bad situation. What if a cult came up around this louse? They went to war with the princess and her followers. Anyway, I'm taking this my own way. Let's see what actually happens. Instead, people decided to nourish it with milk so that it would grow. There is a louse cult that's popping up. That's terrifying. If I was the princess, I would be so pissed off about this. I'd be just get it off. Why are you serving it milk? Jeez, guys, what's your problem? So, this is indeed what happened, and the louse grew until it was finally as large as a calf. What? Is this still on her head? God, I hope they'd taken it off. It doesn't specify that in the story, but they better have taken it off her head by now. Maybe they just took it into its own little louse castle to give it its own little kingdom. And all the little freaks that wanted to follow this louse are just devoted to it over there. I don't know. Stuff was weird in olden times. People made hasty decisions. All right. When the louse died later... What? Why are we jumping ahead to this? What happened? I guess it's a louse. It can't live that long. When the louse died later, the princess ordered it to be skinned. Ew. Louse skin's gotta be disgusting. What are you doing? Oh, maybe this is like a message to her enemies. Like, don't you like deify someone that, sullies my cleanliness. Make an example of this louse. That's never how these things go. If anything, she just made it a martyr. Let's see what happens. So she ordered it to be skinned, and a dress was to be made out of its fur. This is so gross, lady. What are you doing? Also, they haven't made it clear where she stands on this. They said people thought it was such a miracle that they, kept it alive. But was she one of those people? How does she feel about this? What is her intention by skinning it and making a gown? Is this like a I will wear the skin of my enemies thing? Or is this like a this was the one being that managed to, attach itself to me, so I respect it? And I don't know. Motivation is a very important part of any story. We have no sense of this lady's motivation in making a louse dress, and I feel like that's a weird enough thing to do that you kind of want to know why. Okay, so dress was to be made out of its fur. Soon thereafter, a man came to court the princess. This is not good. This is not a good dating situation. If she's looking to impress a guy, be able to be, hey, check out my louse dress. Ugh. This kingdom is weird. I'm going to go to another kingdom. Soon after, a man came to court the princess, and she demanded that he was first to guess the animal that had provided the fur for her dress before she would marry him. Yeah, this princess is weird, and I am into it. This is a game? Okay, now that we're getting a little insight into this princess's mind. She likes to have fun. She likes to have a good time. She's like, hey, let's freak this guy out. Have him guess what the dress is. There's no way he's gonna guess louse. It's gonna be so funny. She doesn't give a damn about any of this. All right, I'm super on board with this princess now. Love this princess. All right, since he couldn't do this, he failed. Of course he did. No one's gonna guess louse. And nor could other suitors. They all had to leave the palace. Finally, a handsome prince came who was able to solve the riddle in the following way. That's the end of the fragment. That is brutal, guys. So they set up a mystery. It's kind of in keeping with the spirit of this princess, though. The princess is like, hey, I'm going to trick all y'all. And the story is like, let's set up a really fun premise and then not deliver on it. That's hilarious. I kind of respect it, to be honest. I wonder if there ever was an ending to this story, or if this story was always a fragment and it was just like a practical joke. It sounds like the beginning to a joke or something, and then not delivering, and then that's the joke, the fact that you didn't deliver the punchline or the ending to it. It has a very anti-comedy feel to it. I kind of respect it, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I wonder if there ever was a solution to this. I mean, this is the original version of this story. Maybe later on someone found the ending to it. I might look into it. I might not. We'll see. So, yeah, there's that one. The princess with the louse. Princess, super clean. They found a louse on her. They're like, oh my god, it got past her defenses. Therefore, this louse is magic. The louse is our king now. Let's take care of it. The louse dies because it's an insect and it doesn't live very long. Then the princess is like, hey, now that this louse is dead, I'm going to make it into a dress and freak people out with it. Specifically, freak out guys who are interested in me. Seriously, I love this person. I love this princess character. Immediately, like, so little happens in the story, and somehow this princess character is already like one of my favorite characters from any of these folktales. Love this. And then no one could, and then someone could, and we don't know how they did it. But hey, that's life. Sometimes someone figured something out, and you just don't know how they did it, and you just gotta look at them and be like, man, they got it. They got the magic formula, and they won't tell any of us. But hey, respect it. They figured it out. But sometimes they didn't really figure it out, and they just act like they got a magic formula. But this person clearly delivered. Maybe this person just guessed. Maybe because this isn't so the first one nor the others could do it. Maybe it's just so many people guessed. I mean, people had to have been talking about this like magical giant louse, right? Some people knew. It wasn't just the princess. So the handsome prince, he just heard some people talking, probably. Or like used some means of espionage to like get answers and stuff, you know? Wouldn't have been. It's not that tightly sealed of a situation here. People know. Word would get around about a louse the size of a small cow, a calf, a baby cow. Yeah, that's insane. That's some insane stuff to happen. People would talk about this like magic, cleanliness defying cow-sized louse. No one's keeping that a secret. He just heard about it. I have to assume that's it. Otherwise, it's got to be some really gross thing. It's why he knows. He knows the exact like texture of louse skin, ginormous louse skin. I don't know. I don't want to think about louse anymore. It's gross. We continue. So the next one is called Prince Johann. It's very short. Is it one sentence? It looks like it's literally one sentence, this fragment. All right, Prince Johann, let's see what you got. Let's see how much can happen in one sentence. It is a long sentence, so let's find out what Prince Johann is. Prince Johann, we begin. This is a tale about his melancholy and nostalgic wanderings. How much of these wanderings can we get into, guys? That's like a super. I love that this story is one sentence long, and the first like bit of the sentence is like, "Get ready, because we're about to tell you a long, winding, adventurous tale." Like, come on, guys. This is a tale about his melancholy and nostalgic wanderings. Nostalgic. About his flight with the spirit. About the Red Castle. About this. This is hilarious. So is this all set up? Is this whole sentence of this fragment of story just like, get ready for some wild shit? That's it? Let's find. Oh my God. I love this so much. I'm going to start over every time I break in. And that's why I'm breaking in every time, because I have to get something out of this. I want to really have this sentence be a journey for us all. This is a tale about his melancholy and nostalgic wanderings, about his flight with the spirit, about the Red Castle, about his numerous trials and tribulations, until he was finally allowed to glimpse the beautiful Princess of the Sun. The end. Sometimes I really love doing this show. I have not that many people listen to this show, but I just love doing it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And this is why. That's the whole thing, you guys. That's the entire story. Get ready for some crazy stuff about Prince Johann. Melancholy. This is a movie poster. This entire thing This story is essentially like a movie poster with a bunch of crazy stuff on it for a movie that never came out. That's what this is. Want to hear it again? Want me to tell you this whole story again? This is a tale about his melancholy and nostalgic wanderings, about his flight with the spirit. Oh man, a flight with a spirit. So there's like a crazy cool ghost in the upper corner of the poster. About the Red Castle. Oh, there's a big, just huge, cloudy red castle in the background with dramatic, towers and a cathedral on one side and light in the tower, and there's blood dripping from the tower. About his numerous trials and tribulations. Oh man, Prince Johann went through so much. He fought. There's like a guy with like his fists up, he's like in fisticuffs, like old timey boxing. Maybe there's like a dog best friend sort of character in the corner who's like got kind of like a little smirk on his face. And of course, he was finally allowed to glimpse the beautiful Princess of the Sun. The Princess of the Sun, you guys. The Princess of the Sun must be so wondrous and magical and glorious and powerful. Princess of the Sun. This is not just a normal princess, you guys. Of the Sun. Ah, I bet you can't wait to learn about the storied history of the Kingdom of the Sun and its most revered princess, the Princess of the Sun. Well, you're not gonna, because there's no story. Oh, man, I love this. Fragments is turning out to be so much fun. I love Fragments section. This is great. Fragments Day is the best. Fragments Day is the best day. Fragments Day. Hashtag Fragments Day. Whenever this comes out is hereby Fragments Day for the rest of time. I don't know what date I'm going to release this one yet, but that date is going to be Fragments Day. And on that day, for years to come, we will all tell inconclusive stories and random glimpses, windows into moments and times that happened in our lives, and hype up a crazy thing that never happened. That'll be one of the rituals, like before you have the Feast of Fragments Day. Also, Fragments Day, it's definitely, the meal of Fragments Day is definitely just like tapas style, like small plates. Like you can't have, like a big roast on Fragments Day. It's just like a bunch of side dishes. Maybe that are missing certain ingredients. Like they can't be like super cohesive side dishes. It's like guacamole with like salt and pepper crackers, not tortilla chips. Like very like incongruous things, or just random side things that like, ooh, I like that. So for Fragments Day, everyone brings a different thing that is incomplete on its own, and you have to put them together with the other things that other people brought to create like a meal and like a satisfying, full experience, full feast. Yeah, I love that. It's kind of poetic as well. You don't need to be contributing to have something be cohesive and final from start to finish to have value. It can just be a little something, and it's still delightful. And if you put a lot of little somethings together, well, that's how you make a life. That's how you get a world. We're all just a bunch of little somethings, and we're all in this big pot together. We're all fragments, each and every one of us. Man, I'm getting real deep. I should have done this at the end. I have one more fragment to go. I'm like waxing poetic here about Fragment Day, which is now a thing that's definitely happening forever. And still have one more to go. So let's get into that last fragment, you guys. Man, we're at 25 minutes. I didn't think I'd get this much out of fragments, but I'm having a blast right now, y'all. All right, the final fragment of the day. The Good Cloth. The good cloth. We begin. 2 daughters of a seamstress inherited a good old cloth, and whenever anything was wrapped in it, the cloth turned the object into gold. This cloth provided them with enough to live on, and they also did some sewing to earn a little extra money. Why? Why do you need it? If you want to do, if there was like, they also did some sewing because they liked it, because they were, the daughters of a seamstress and they enjoyed sewing to remember their mother, the seamstress. That I can get that, but it says they did it to earn a little extra money. You don't have to earn any money. Just make gold. If you're like doing some sewing, just take the thread or the needle or whatever you're sewing, put it in the cloth. Now that's gold, and it's worth way more than whatever you were sewing. So that logic doesn't hold up, sisters. Find a leaf. Literally go outside, get like a clump of dirt, put it in this thing. You don't have to do any more sewing. If your motivation is monetary, you don't need to do any sewing whatsoever for the rest of your life. Do your sewing for the love of it, seamstress daughters, for the love of it. In any event, we continue. One sister was very smart, the other very stupid. Well, one sister couldn't have been that smart because she was still sewing for money. One day, the oldest went to a church. All right, I'm seeing a word coming up. It's not a nice word. Not a nice word at all. It's for a group of people, and yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get into this. I'm just gonna say guy. Whenever this word comes up, I don't think it's gonna. I think we could still do it, but it's just gonna be a guy. Oh man, Fragments was going so well, and now it's like, yeah. All right. One day, the oldest went to church, and a guy came down the street calling, "Beautiful new cloth for sale. Beautiful cloth to trade for an old cloth. Anyone want to trade?" All right, so this person's clearly... Oh, man, I'm walking so carefully now. This is, like, really not cool, this story. I'm bailing out. I'm bailing out on the good cloth. We have it with Fragment Day has been good enough. You know what? The lesson that I'm going to take here, some fragments, not okay. Some fragments need to be left out. There should be one fragment on Fragment Day. There should be one dish or one, like, contribution or one symbolic fragment. Don't make it one of the things that one of the people brought, because then that's just like mean if someone like went to the effort of bringing something and then you put it aside. But there should be some fragment that is symbolic of the fragments, like dark fragments, you know? Yeah, should be like a symbol of the fragments that you learn from and leave behind. The fragments, yeah, that's a good lesson. Letting go. Not all fragments need to be clung to. Not all fragments have a place, you know? Some fragments in your life, some pieces of yourself that are no longer cool and not an okay thing to have going on. Well, you just let those fragments drift on by, and you don't need to take them with you in your future. So, yeah, actually, maybe at Fragment Day, you don't need to have something symbolic. You can just say a fragment of your life or something within yourself, or a quality or a habit or a bad, something that you want to put behind you in some way. Yeah. Or that's something you do that you don't want to do anymore, or something you say you don't want to say anymore, or an attitude that you'd like to move past, or just a bad habit, then yeah, a fragment. You can say a fragment that you'd like to keep or that you'd like to add to your life, and a fragment that you'd like to leave behind. That's the lesson that we're going to take from the good cloth. And yeah, Fragment Day. I love Fragment Day now. Long live Fragment Day. Hashtag Fragment Day. Bring out your side dishes, your dips, your various ways of making potatoes and tapas and all sorts of things. Incomplete dishes that can be combined to create a beautiful whole feast. And that is the world we live in, and that is life. Just a combination of little fragments. And that'll do it for this week's episode. I'm not going to adapt any of these ones. That are also, I mean, I could do something with any number of them, but honestly, I think that would be kind of against the spirit of Fragment Day. The spirit of Fragment Day is that there's beauty in the fragment, you know? And so that's what we're just going to let the fragments be what they are. You don't have to make them into, try to complete them. Just enjoy them for their own and jumble them all together and say, hey, isn't it nice? This is nice. This is nice. This is nice. This is nice. It's all nice. Yeah. Enjoy the fragment. Each day is a fragment in your life. I'm really just running with this. I could run with this forever. All right. Fragment Day. Let's do it. We'll see all y'all Fragment Day celebrations. And next time we'll get into the fox and the geese. And that'll be all for this episode of the ShadowBear Story Sessions. I still don't have like a sign off. I don't know. Do I need to sign off? I'm going to say something different every time. So today is going to be have a good sleep. Even if it's morning, hope you had a good sleep. And if it's night, have a good sleep now. And if it's morning, have a good day and then have a good sleep after that. Goodbye.